Today will be a day to remember for the rest of your life. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is excited to present the heart of a Hall of Famer program connected by Extreme Networks. With over 100 Hall of Famers participating, we have reached 47 states and countries all over the world, sharing the message that football is more than a game and can teach Americans important life values like commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty.
But you have to make right decisions even when nobody's watching you.
Well, respect is not just given out. It's not handed out like a brochure. It's earned.
Today, you are presented with an opportunity to meet and learn from one of the greatest football players of all time. But more important than that, the chance to see that their Hall of Fame life wasn't given to them. They didn't roll out the bed great. They put the work in, on the field, in the weight room, in the classroom, in their communities. They made themselves a Hall of Famer on and off the field.
Your feet can't take you where your mind's never been.
Because you can make it, but it's just gonna take a little hard work and some effort and the drive and determination.
And today, you will learn you can do the same thing they did. You don't have to have a gold jacket or a bronze bust to make a difference in the lives of others. It's your decision whether you want to be a successful student, son, daughter, brother, or sister.
If attitudes are contagious, is your attitude worth catching?
It's integrity as well, because when you decide to pursue something and you don't quit, that says a lot about you.
Commitment to excellence. We can all aspire to be the best.
Welcome to a once-in-a-lifetime program, the heart of a Hall of Famer program, connected by Extreme Networks.
Slim that chance was. But if I can make it, anyone can achieve their goals. The key is to never quit, never give up. Keep trying, keep learning, and keep growing. My roots are still in the Arkansas hills, and I return to the happy place up there often. I was hiking there the other day, contemplating this speech, when I looked over to see a huge storm brewing over the tops of the hills. I still had a couple of miles to go on that rocky trail, but all I could think of that I, and more importantly, my cell phone, were about to get drenched. So I liked the challenge, and I knew I was up to it. I knew better than look too far down the long path, as it would be seem too imposing. Rather than that, I just put my head down, made sure that I made it past every rock without stumbling. I realized that was a metaphor for my life. I've never taken anything for granted. I've never looked too far down the road. I've stayed in the moment, focused on that rock right in front of me. I did trip on a rock or two that day, just as I have in my life. But I didn't get discouraged. I got right back up and pushed even harder. I took one step at a time, avoided one rock at a time, and before you know it, I'd achieved a goal.
And with that, I'd like to welcome everybody to another installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Heart of a Hall of Famer series, connected by Extreme Networks. Today, featuring that man you just saw give that awesome enshrinement speech and some awesome highlights there, Mr. Cliff Harris. My name is Jake Ray. I'm the Youth and Education Manager here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, and we are super excited for today's session. Before we get started, though, a little bit about us at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, where it's our mission to honor the greatest of the game, preserve its history, promote its values, and to celebrate excellence together. And those values we promote are those of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty, all of which made that man you're going to hear from a little bit here later today, wearing that gold jacket, a Hall of Famer on the football field, but it made him a Hall of Famer off the field as well. A great son, brother, dad, member of his community, businessman. Those values teach you to be a great football player, but it also can teach you how to live what we call a Hall of Fame life off the football field. So I'm excited today, and hopefully all of our students out there are as well, to hear how these values impacted our special guest today, Cliff Harris's field life, both on and off the field. Now, before we get started and we turn things over, I do have some thank yous I'd like to pass out. First and foremost, to our great partners at Extreme Networks, thank you for everything you do for us here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, specifically for this program. Without your support, there's no way we can do this program to get our Hall of Famers message and the great life lessons the game of football teaches out to students all over the country. So thank you so much for your support. Secondly, I'd like to thank our teachers, administrators, educators, anybody who allowed us to be a part of their school day today. Thank you so much for allowing us to be a small part of your students' learning experience. And lastly, this program doesn't happen without the students here today. We want to thank you for giving some of your time out of your school day, which I know you love so much. Thank you for giving up your time today to learn a little bit from Cliff Harris. And, you know, it's not every day you get the chance to interact and ask questions and hear from one of the best football players of all time. So students, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing all the questions that you have today. Lastly, if you're watching us on Facebook Live, if you're in your classroom, if you're at Lake Highlands High School and you're in that live audience in front of Cliff Harris today, if you're taking photos, videos, if you're posting anything online, post it, tag at Pro Football HOF and at Extreme Networks on all social media platforms today, and your post just might be reshared to our channels there. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce and welcome Hall of Famer Cliff Harris. Cliff, welcome to our program, Heart of a Hall of Famer today.
Thank you, Jake. I appreciate that. I'm certainly glad to be here. It's great to be here and healthy because 10 years of pro football is pretty tough. And a lot of my buddies are beaten up, and I'm thankful to be here and as healthy as I am. And it's great to be here with you, these young people today that give me a chance to relate to you somehow and hopefully link to you and help you understand how to become successful, how to become your own Hall of Famer in your own world, and even an NFL Hall of Famer. So it really starts with really the one most critical ingredient is really wanting to do it, to make it, to be it. And things you have to do is keep pushing, keep trying, keep building, and ultimately you'll reach your goal. I was a kid out of Arkansas, and in the 9th grade, I weighed 120 pounds, and I think that all those, and then I went on to high school. I was a quarterbacked an undefeated team, but out of all those people, I'll bet you none of them would have said that I would have played for the Dallas Cowboys. None of them would have said that I played in 5 Super Bowls, and made All-Pro and Super Bowls, and then made it into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I'm the 333rd Hall of Famer out of, think about how many players have played played football all over the United States. There's 333, or I'm the 333rd. So there's not very many of these Hall of Famers today. So what I'm telling you today is something that's important, and I want you to hear what I have to say, and then ask me questions, and I'll be glad to answer everything that you have, and try to help you guys move on to make the Pro Football Hall of Fame or a Super Bowl or whatever your goals are in your life. I can help you get there. And I'm looking forward to your questions. But first, I want to say that there's a moment that you have to think about that I've kind of lived with my life, is that life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but they go to the man who thinks he can. So that's something that I've kind of lived with and tried to develop myself. So you've got to start with yourself first, and then it grows. And you've got to believe in yourself. When I was a kid, there weren't very many guys that thought I was going to make it. but I knew that I had that burning desire inside to become a better player, a better person. My dad was a World War II fighter pilot, shot down in the South China Sea, was on a raft for a day and a half and survived. And I know that he was an inspiration for me. And he's a man with type 1 diabetes. And I'm on the board in Dallas here, and I've had the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. And so I'm trying to take what I did in pro football and give back because I've been given gifts. I mean, God has blessed me, and I'm thankful for that. But I'm trying to give back from what I've been given in this world, and trying to give back to the community and trying to do the right thing for juvenile diabetes and try to help that research. I've also got an FCA golf tournament that I host in my hometown of Hot Springs, Arkansas. So things that if you've been given something, if you've made it, and if you've been given something like as big as making it the Pro Football Hall of Fame, then, my sands are closed. then you've got to do something and reciprocate. That's what I believe in life. It's something that's a critical thing in life. You get a gift, you need to make sure that you're grateful for it and that you give back for it, because God's going to bless you too if that happens. I'm so thrilled to be here with you guys at Lake Highlands, with such a minds that are taking all this and soaking in and developing it. I hope that my talk this morning and hearing what I'm saying and seeing what I've done, seeing up here with this gold jacket and this big old Hall of Fame ring that I've got on that I don't wear except I wear for you guys because it's too big for my finger. But it's something that means that I made a goal, and I'm happy that I did it the way that I did it. Nobody really would have ever thought that I played for the Ouachita Baptist Tigers in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. So it was a D2 school, and I went to training camp in Thousand Oaks, California, with 120 other rookies. 14 of them were drafted. I wasn't drafted. I was a free agent, signed to a contract, and had no chance to make it, except for me. I knew that I was going to make it. And after weeks of training camp in Thousand Oaks, I was the only rookie to make the starting lineup and I was the MVP. We took the first 2 games we played, and so it's been and the other 120 rookies were all cut. They didn't make it. 10 of those guys made it on the team. So you've got to not think of yourself in a position of weakness. You've got to think of yourself in a position of strength, and that you can achieve, because it's something that's internal in your head. You've got to think that way. You don't have to tell people you're thinking that way. I'm telling you guys to think that way, but keep it in your head so that you can perform, and you know that the little thing that happens, the guy standing next to you, and your coaches making you in your sprints, you're going to say, "Hey, I'm going to beat that guy in front of me," and I'm this standing next to me, and he doesn't know it that you're doing it, but you know. So you try and you beat him, you know, as you try to beat even the next faster guy the next time. So every time that you work and every time that you achieve and think about the effort that you put into things, all you're doing is making yourself better. You're making yourself grow. And that's the way that you've got to keep growing, keep learning, and try to keep yourself throughout your life. I've been so fortunate to be as healthy as I am after playing 10 years of pro football. And we went to 5 Super Bowls in 10 years. We should have won 5 if we won 2. And there aren't many guys that have done that either. So keep these things in your head. Keep your mind, your thinking. You know, I've got to, whatever I do in my life, I've got to have a commitment to it. I've got to have a commitment to it. I've got to try to push as hard as I can and to succeed and to excel. And if you do that, you'll be not only make yourself, you'll not make everyone else around you proud, but you'll be proud of yourself. So I'm so thankful to be here tonight or today. And but I know that if you guys have any questions or thoughts or anything that that are around my position, that what I've done today, just let me know. Is there? So how much longer do I have?
Awesome. No, I think that's a great intro, Cliff. I think it's time we dive right into some of those questions from our students. So we're going to start right there with the students in front of you at Lake Highlands. I do want to say, Cliff, just make sure you stand a little further back there. We want to see that beautiful face of yours there on the screen. So, but we'll start right there with those students in front of you at Lake Highlands. So students there at Lake Highlands, if you have a question, Cliff, go ahead and pick somebody. And did Cliff, for us, can you just make sure repeat that question so all the other students can hear it?
Okay. Yeah. So do you guys have any questions? Do you have any thoughts? Or I know you don't be, step up. This is going to be a chance for you to yes, ma'am.
What character qualities do you believe it takes to be successful in all areas of life?
Well, I think that the character that you have, what you've just got to be determined, like I was saying, those be determined and be disciplined, and you've got to have the effort, and you've got to have a commitment to your goal. Determine a goal, have a goal yourself, set a personal goal yourself, and then make it happen. And make it happen through the steps that you can put in so that you can achieve gradually at one at a time, and so that you ultimately can get to a point through achieving these little steps on the way to your goal can happen. Make them reasonable, attainable, and measurable. That's a Coach Landry thought, that you have to be able, when you have a system that you want to perform in, make your goals reasonable, attainable, and measurable, and keep track of them. So does that help? All right.
Awesome. Great question. All right. We're going to head out to another school. We're going to come here to our home state where I'm at in Ohio. We're going to go to John Glenn High School in Mr. Joy's class for our next question. So whenever you're ready there at John Glenn, go ahead and have a student walk up there to the microphone, to the camera. Go ahead and unmute, and then have your student ask the question here for Mr. Harris. Looks like we're there. We're trying to unmute. Let me see if I can help here. Oh, there we go. All right, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Well, Mr. Harris, who was your role model, and how did he influence you growing up and playing football and stuff?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. Thank you for that question. My dad is my role model. Like I was saying, he had type 1 diabetes and never complained about it. Was really, really a tough-minded guy that he showed me and taught me how to set up and reach my goals, to set goals and set targets. And that's what he did. And every day of his life, he gave himself a shot of insulin. And that's what you do with a type 1 diabetic. And I always thought, gosh, man, when you give yourself an injection into your leg every day and do that, and you're getting a shot every day, you got to be pretty tough. And so my dad was so tough-minded, not only tough-minded, he was such a great man of character, and was a man that others looked up to and respected, including me. So I guess he was my role model that I used, and as my and you know, of course, Coach Tom Landry, such a great man, a Christian man, and built so many and helped and directed our team into being players that people respected. Instead of just football players, he built men and created a great legacy of great players and great men that came out of the Dallas Cowboy program during our era.
Awesome. It's so cool to hear too how Mr. Landry impacted your career. Because, you know, we always talk about and always mention how important it is to have a mentor, a teacher, a coach, or somebody. But even for somebody, you know, you're a member of the Hall of Fame. You've reached the pinnacle at a team level, winning the Super Bowl. You've reached the pinnacle at the individual level, getting that awesome jacket you have on. So it is cool to see how somebody like a coach can have such a huge impact on your life. We're going to go to our next question here. We're going to go down south to Arkansas, back where Cliff was born and raised. We're going to go to Jonesboro High School for our next question. So folks there at Jonesboro, whenever you're ready, go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, I'm Sam King from Jonesboro, Arkansas. I'm in the 10th grade, and Mr. Harris, I was wondering, how important do you feel accountability is on and off the field?
Accountability?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, Shane. Well, I mean, that is, you need to be accountable to yourself first, and you have to make, you have to live your life in a way that you feel like that you are known and observed by everyone, whether you are or not. That's going to develop your character. You're going to be a better person, a better man, a better father, so someday you guys are going to be fathers, and you've got to be accountable to yourself to become a really good person and achieve, you know, your goals. And with accountability, you can set goals and make yourself reasonably look and see how you're doing and make yourself accountable for the goals that you set.
And that's important in, you know, not only in football, because you can give all those examples there, but it's also important, you know, in your everyday life, if you're a student, if you're an employee, all very, very important things. At the beginning, you know, I mentioned a little bit about us at the Pro Football Hall of Fame and who we are. And, you know, I mentioned our mission statements: to honor the greatest of the game, preserve its history, promote its values, and to celebrate excellence together. And at the core of what we do here in Canton, Ohio is, you know, we are a museum. You know, we're a museum that celebrates the entire history, the timeline of the sport of professional football. So we thought, what better way to showcase what we do here at the Hall of Fame than head out live to our museum in probably the most exciting, fun part in our museum. And we're going to show you, Cliff, an artifact that you know very, very well and got to see here a couple years ago. But we're going to throw it out to our Hall of Fame gallery, to the Director of Youth and Education here, Jerry Shockey, who's in front of something very, very cool we want to show everybody.
All right, thank you, Jake. And if it's noisy in here, that's a beautiful thing, because we got 100 students from nearby Massillon here, Massillon, Ohio, that are touring the Hall of Fame. So I'm having trouble hearing you guys, but as long as you can hear me, that's what'll work today. So thank you, Jake. And so thank you, Mr. Harris, for being here today. Thank you to all the students that are tuned in from all across the country. I've heard Arkansas and other locations. This is awesome. And we're in a pretty exciting gallery here today. I want to give you an idea of just how big of an honor it is to be enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Think about this just for a second. Throughout its history, the game of football, there have been 300 million that have played it at all levels. There have been roughly about 5 million that have played it at the college level. There are about 29,000 that have been paid to play, coach, or officiate the game in the National Football League. And there are only 362 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And it's a little high up here. It's one of our higher ones here, but right up above me here, you can see that's who you have students That's who you have in front of you in the school, and students tuning out across the country. That is who you have speaking to you here today. And so, Mr. Harris, I have got to tune in on a few different bits and pieces here on what you're talking about. And one of the things that strikes me is what you said. I get the sense that service and serving is a big part of who you are, having a servant's heart, if you will. I'm an FCA guy too. I'm still involved in FCA at my alma mater in Alliance, Ohio. So we have that in common as well. But talk about how the game has taught you to serve, because one thing about the game it teaches us is that you need everyone and you're committed to something bigger than just yourself. Can you talk about how that philosophy in your personal life, but also in the game of football has kind of shaped you?
Yes, I sure can. I think that the Landry system that Coach Tom Landry designed and we used during my career was such an intricate system that was related to such a specific task that everyone had to achieve on their own. Each player had, and each time, different than today. Today is just open the gate and you see the Cowboys today, boy, they get after it, they go. We had specific tasks and defined areas. And we all had places that we had to be during an offensive play in order to stop that offensive play. And it was linked, it was all linked together. So when the offense snapped the ball, we knew exactly where every player, we knew where every defensive player, all the defensive players, where that position was, and the strength that they had, and what they were going to do, and what we had to do, and our responsibility. So we had to fulfill our responsibility, and based on if they had to fulfill theirs as well. And if we did, then we'd stop every play. Well, sometimes guys fall down and don't perform up to that level. That's where a free safety comes in and makes sure that you can stop the play. But but it was a really well coordinated, incredibly well designed team that took us to the playoffs every year in 10 years and 5 Super Bowls. You think about all the things that you would have done or should have done, or at least I do, that could have helped us win those other Super Bowls that we didn't win. So, but that's just something that goes like in my brain. So, but responsibility of performance is a key factor in success of the Cowboy system.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Harris. I appreciate your time here today. And Jake, I'm going to send it back to you in our studio.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate you giving our live look there. It's awesome to hear the background noise and all the awesome students we have touring the Hall of Fame today, taking in those sites, seeing bronze busts like Cliff Harris's that we have on display out there. So we're going to keep it rolling with our schools that we have questions from. So we're going to send it out to Harbin's school that's out in Georgia. So we're going to stay down in the South. So whenever you're ready there at Harbin's, go ahead and have your students step up and ask their question for Mr. Harris.
Hi, my name is Micah, and I'm in 4th grade. How do you feel the leadership roles on the football field and in the real world are similar?
Great question. Great question.
All right, Jacob, you're going to have to.
Yep, I got you. I got you. So he asked, how do you feel that the roles on the football field and in everyday life and the lessons that you learn, how do you feel that those are similar?
The rules. The rules.
Yeah. Yeah, but how do you feel that the things you learn from the game, can you use those in your everyday life, and there's similarities between the two?
Thank you. Well, I mean, of course, the number one thing is commitment. And the other is that your commitment to achieving and setting your own goals. So you're really personally responsible for setting your own goals, and you're also responsible for achieving those goals. And nobody else but you is responsible for setting your goals. Maybe your coaches will give you a goal to set, but you're the one that's responsible to do all the things that you can to achieve those goals. And you're the one you're the one that feels and makes those goals, standards, all the things that you do. You got to think, hey, I'm only trying to do all this to make myself better and make myself a better player and a better person. But so you've got to be responsible for your own goals. I mean, when you set a goal, you've got to say, hey, I'm going to get it. I know that I'm going to get it. That's what I did in my life. I'd always try to set my goal and the level of my goal just a little bit more than I thought that I could achieve. And I'd design steps and make sure that I would, they're reasonable, accountable, and measurable. And that's one of the things that I've always done is set those goals, make sure that they were reasonable goals and that you could measure them, you could write them down in a chart and measurable and then attainable. So you had to be reasonable with your goals and attainable. So you as a person can set goals and remember those three things: reasonable, attainable, and measurable. And that's what I even do in my life today is setting goals. And when you've got to be responsible for achieving those goals, and you've got to be able to set or help your coach can help you set how you measure those and how you attain those goals. But it is your responsibility to do it. And you've got to stay at it, stay disciplined, stay at it, and stay focused. Then you're going to achieve your own goals. And you guys can make it to your own Super Bowl, or your own Hall of Fame, whatever that is. So that's just stay after it. Put the goals down, write them down on a piece of paper, and show the steps that you are going to use to attain those goals.
Awesome. Just another way that you can relate football into your everyday life. And I want to ask a few questions here, myself, Mr. Harris, looking at your football career, we always like to talk about, there's always that one moment that kind of sticks out of, this was my welcome to the NFL moment. This was when I realized this isn't my Division II college anymore. This isn't, a pickup ball in the backyard. This is the NFL. What was that moment for you? And when did it hit you? What was that welcome to the NFL moment for you?
Well, that's a really good question, Jake. Thank you. So when I went from Arkadelphia, Arkansas to Los Angeles, California for training camp in Thousand Oaks, California, and I didn't know, at the time we were in NAIA school, so let's just say D2. I didn't know what to expect when I got out there. I didn't know, players from Ohio State, Arkansas, University of Arkansas, from, Oklahoma, from Texas. I didn't know what to expect when I went out there. Well, all of a sudden, when I got out there and saw that, I thought they'd be giants, didn't know what to expect. I was trying to set my expectations and super fast. All of a sudden I got out there and I said, well, man, I can run as fast as these guys. And they're not giants. And I also can knock a couple of them out every now and then and show them how to, so, all of a sudden you're going, wow, let me try to knock out this guy and beat this guy. And so, you've got to understand your opponents and try to set your level of performance based on beating your opponent. And I was shocked that when I was in Thousand Oaks, that man, these guys were human. And that's the thing that you can talk about when you're playing a really good team. Hey, man, they're just guys out there. You know, you can get them and you can beat them. And you've got to think that way. Wake yourself up, and you can beat them in whatever game, whatever your next game is. Man, no matter how good a team is doing, no matter if they're undefeated or whatever they are, man, think I'm going to beat these guys. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to do everything that I can because I know these are just guys. And I'm going to beat them. I can beat these guys. So it's really a mental. It's something that you deal with yourself. You know that you have in your own head that and your coach helps you get there, but it's something that you have to believe in yourself first.
For sure. Looking at that, and that's such an important thing to understand because, like you said, I think it definitely helps set your vision up down the road. You're not coming in thinking I'm going to be number one. I'm going to be the guy. You came in and realized, even though I'm from this small school, I can hang with these guys. And, eventually, as we all see, your career panned out pretty well, ending up here in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But looking back on your career, was there ever a moment when you were on the defense or you were in the defensive huddle with somebody or you were lined up across from somebody on the offense that was you watched growing up that maybe is a member of the Hall of Fame now, to where you kind of had to were starstruck maybe for a quick half second, but then realized, you got a game to play? Were there any moments of that from your career that stuck out?
Yeah, thank you. So when I was starting as a rookie, my first year, right? So here we played go back a long way. You remember you might not even know their coach. We played in the Cotton Bowl, and the Cowboys did it actually. And I'll never forget this moment. It's so clear in my mind. We went out. We were playing the New York Giants in the Cotton Bowl, and I was lined up. We were in the defensive huddle, the circle, and directly across was all pro. He was, I thought he was ancient. He was probably 33, and he was lined up across from me. And it stuck in my mind till this day. And so you're down like this, and he's looking right at me and said, "We're going to the Super Bowl this year, rookie. I don't want you to do anything to mess it up. Got it?" I said, "Yes, sir, Mr. Lilly." So it really had an impact on me that this player didn't know who I was, but I knew that I had to do my job and do it well. His goal, because they've been beaten, this is before Cowboys went to their first Super Bowl, really. And so his goal was they've been beaten every year in the playoffs. Well, that year, I don't know, it was just coincidence. But that year that I came to the Cowboys, we went to Super Bowl. We went to 5 Super Bowls because I listened to it. And I did. I didn't mess up. I helped the Cowboys. But it was Bob Billy that was the inspiration for me.
That sounds like it was a pretty sound logic to make there and listen to fellow Hall of Famer, Mr. Bob Lilly. We're going to continue with some questions from our schools. We're going to go out to Glen Ridge Middle School, which I learned is in New Jersey, not in Georgia, here before we started. So we're going to go out to Glen Ridge Middle School there in New Jersey for our next question. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and unmute your microphone, have the students step up there and go ahead and ask their question.
Hi, Mr. Harris. I'm Carter from Glen Ridge, and I'm an Eagles fan. My question is, what advice did veterans give you in training camp that made you believe that you could hang with them? And did your confidence ever rub your teammates the wrong way?
Oh, great question.
So the question about there was a veteran in training camp that helped me. Is that what the question was?
Yep.
Well, yes, there was. And it was, Leroy Jordan, who was a legend in Alabama and well-known, a great guy. And he kind of took me under his wing, and he was a veteran of probably 10 years at that time. And he and Cornell Green actually was a strong safety that played for us, a great player, should be in the Hall of Fame as well, or at least in the Ring of Honor, I think. And but they both were telling me, hey, you know, look at this thing, look at this way that these guys are lined up. Think about what the quarterback's going to do, and get ready to at certain moments. And so it was really important that through these guys and through and it's kind of why I'm here today too, because I believe that, you know, it helps people when someone has been through life and experiences to let the younger people know ahead of time what to expect. And that's what I'm kind of trying to do with you guys today, is the same thing that Leroy Jordan did to me. You know, look for this clip. The flow goes weak, look for the quarterback to go strong and they're going to hit somebody across the middle. And so things that helped me throughout my career. He was a great player and a great leader. Both those guys were. So I was really glad to get that information from him.
And then, you know, the follow up with our gentleman's second question there, you know, he talked about the idea of being confident, and, you know, you have to have a certain level of confidence to be a professional athlete, but there's that line that you can't cross. How hard is it to kind of find that fair balance between being competitive, being a leader, but not overstepping your boundaries?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, I think that you have to know your own strengths and weaknesses. That's the first thing. And find out, because I do know guys that didn't make it, came in overconfident, and you can take advantage of those guys because you can beat them. And you often have to understand exactly where you are in your physical abilities, and that if you need to understand what you really can do, can you make it over there? Can I really come up there and get this guy, or am I going to have to double team, or what the thing you're going to have to do to get this thing done? So it's really trying to understand yourself, really. So you really have to understand your own strengths and your weaknesses, and try to overcome your weaknesses and you emphasize your strengths. That's what that's how I succeeded in my career.
I think that's great advice. And we're going to now move on to our last school we have connected in here today, Baldwin Success Academy, for our final question from our students today. So whenever you're ready there, folks at Baldwin, go ahead and step up to the microphone. Go ahead and unmute and have your student ask the question here for our special guest, Mr. Cliff Harris. So whenever you're ready, take it away.
Okay. Have you ever got seriously injured, like while playing football?
Any serious injuries?
Well, I mean, you know, it gets back to what is serious. You know, I've played with. I was very fortunate with the Cowboys in my career. There are so many of my buddies that are really struggling today with injuries that have artificial knees, artificial hips, artificial shoulders, and are beaten up a lot. During my career, I've been so fortunate in my pro career. I never had surgeries. I kind of like thought about the way that the reason I didn't is because I gave instead of received. And that means that when I hit the guy, he absorbed it instead of me absorbing it. So you got to think through that a little bit. But no, but I had broken wrist, broken thumb, broken ribs, and when you're playing, you have to be mentally tough, because if you're counted on to perform you're counted on to win the game for the Cowboys or whoever, and you've got to, if it's reasonable, you've got to shut off the pain and suck it up and get out there and perform better than than you could have with giving into it. And I know there were times that I was hurting, and I know there were other guys that were. I'll never forget this story that Leroy Jordan. This is a great example of somebody like that. So Leroy Jordan had a device in his locker that it had a put on under his shoulder pad that had a ring around it. It was strapped to his chest. And I asked him one time, I said, Leroy, what is that strap? What's that device you have on? He said, well, that's just to keep, when I make a tackle, it's just to keep my shoulder from going out of place. I went, holy cow, man, that's a guy, I don't think they do it in today's football, but that's a tough guy that overcame the pain and overcame and performed really well. But you've got to be smart about it too. So you're hurt, you got to let the coach know, right? And let the coach know, and they'll get you out if you need to be out.
Always a smart strategy to go by there. A couple quick questions here to wrap everything up. I got a couple here. Want to talk a little bit about you, the player, Mr. Cliff Harris. Nicknames are a big thing in sports, and we've seen recently you got the Legion of Boom defense. We know the Purple People Eaters and the Minnesota Vikings. You've got a pretty good one. Your nickname, Captain Crash. And then I also want to talk a little bit about what George Allen said, that you're a rolling ball of butcher knives. That is a very descriptive way to describe a player. So, we all do this in all fun. It's kind of fun to have that. But for you, the player, when you get designated something like that, what does it mean to you? Even though it's kind of fun, kind of funny, what does that, at the end of the day, what does that mean to you as the football player, Cliff Harris?
Well, Dave Edwards was a strong side linebacker for us, and he was the one that gave nicknames. Charlie Waters was named Bucket, and Walt Garrison was named Pudding, and my nickname was Crash. And then Captain Crash came later. I really think that knew how to do that, knew how to come up and make tackles. But I played a strategic game with the quarterbacks and would rather have been known as a chess player than a Captain Crash. I live with it. I know that I hit hard. I knew that I do it, but I don't brag about it. I think that the thing that you need to do is, one thing you need to do about the player that you are is win the game. Whatever it takes to win the game. And if it took hitting guys hard, you can do that. If it takes not hitting them and setting them up for later. And so you've got to do the things that make sense, that help you win. Captain Crash is just something that when I hit guys, it wasn't like that I went out there every time and tried to just crush guys. I went out there and tried to strategically beat the quarterback, because that was my position. I was a free safety for the Cowboys. And the thing that you had to do is you had to hit a guy hard. If you had to make him think that you were going to hit him hard and drop the ball, that's as good too. So do things that are smart and strategic to win. Crash helped me at that time. Maybe have a little fear of those wide receivers that wanted to run it down and in on me. So I'd let them know that I was in there every now and then. But Captain Crash is something that's it's a good thing, and I'm happy to have that nickname today.
Yeah, I definitely don't think you want to run a slant route over the middle towards Captain Crash. That just got bad written all over it. Last question for you here today, Mr. Harris. And first, again, before we ask that, I want to thank you for being a part of the program today. I can speak on behalf of everybody here at the Hall of Fame. As you know, we love and enjoy talking to all of our Hall of Famers, but to do it with students truly all over the country today, watching it and tuning in, is very special. So my last question for you here today, Mr. Harris, is, out of everything we've talked about today, leadership, mentorship, the values of the game of football, what it takes, to be successful on and off the field. If there's one thing or one idea, one quote, whatever it might be, that you want everybody to walk away with today, if they could only remember one thing, what is that one thing you want everybody to remember from today?
Well, I think that one of the things that I want you guys to go away with is be true to yourselves. Be true to yourselves. Try to make a commitment in life and set goals for yourself, but also be true to yourself. And everything that you do in life, whether it's football or in business or in life and love and your kids or whatever, put 100% effort into it. That's the way that you're going to win. That's the way that you are going to succeed in life, is making that commitment to yourself. And you don't have to make it to anybody else. You just know yourself. When you make that commitment to yourself, that you're going to give 100%, that you're going to do it every time. And when you do, you're going to win. And you're going to make it to your own Super Bowls. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. What a way. I love that. What a way to end the program today. Everybody, let's give a big round of applause to our special guest here today, Mr. Cliff Harris. Cliff, again, from myself and everybody at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, thank you so much for being a part of the program today. Thank you for everything you do for the game of football. And truly, thank you for everything you do for us here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So for all of our students who tuned in, again, thank you so much for being a part of the program. From myself, Mr. Harris, our entire staff here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, thank you so much. And we hope you can tune in for another program here down the road. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next time.